is a brand that's been introducing a lot of changes to their lineup in the past few years. From their first carbon-plated marathon racer to the recent addition of a shoe with a drop, Altra has really been trying to push the boundaries of what people expect from the brand. Now, when they first came out with the Via Olympus about a year ago, it received mixed reviews, mostly to the negative side, and that's due to the firmer cushion, a lot firmer than most people expected from a max cushion shoe. Now, in the version 2, Altra is doubling down on the max cushion, but they're doing it in a way that's offering a softer ride for runners. Their tagline for the Via Olympus 2 is "We went softer so you could go harder," which should give you an idea of the direction that they're taking this line. So in this video, I'm gonna break down all the changes to the Altra Via Olympus 2, including the new midsole foam that they're using here, and I'll let you know where it might fit into your rotation. All right, let's get into it. Alright guys, so before we get into it today, if you haven't checked out the Running Shoe Matcher tool yet, go to runningshoematcher.com. This is a really cool tool I built that matches you with the best shoes for you based on your goals and preferences. So you can go in there, answer 5 questions about what type of shoe you're looking for, whether you want a daily trainer, a race day shoe, or a tempo shoe, whether you like your shoes soft or firm, we'll match you with the best shoe for you. So it's live right now and it's free. You can check it out at runningshoematcher.com. Alright, let's get into it. So the Altra Via Olympus is the max cushion shoe from Altra. Now, Altra is a zero drop brand, so they focus on making shoes with anatomical geometries and fits. They have wider toe boxes that are meant to accommodate a natural splaying of the toes out in the front. And they got their start on the trail side and now have migrated more to being a road focused brand. Now, a lot of their lineup in the early days was these lower stack shoes like the Escalante, the Rivera, but they've introduced some models that are higher stacked that are competitive over the past few years. So we have the Vanish Carbon, which is their race day shoe, the Vanish Tempo, which is their non-plated up-tempo shoe, and the Via Olympus, which was meant to be their max cushion cruiser to compete with the likes of the Nimbus, the Triumph, the Ship 3, the Invincible. The list goes on and on of this ultra crowded segment. Now, that initial shoe did not really get the same foothold in the market that Altra had achieved with some of their other shoes, so the Via Olympus 2 is designed to crack that code for Altra. Now, they've kept the specs here mostly the same. The weight has actually gone up a little bit. The Via Olympus 1 was 11 ounces for men, and the Via Olympus 2 is 11.4 ounces. But the stack height is the same, with 33 millimeters in the heel, 33 millimeters in the forefoot for that 0 millimeter drop. And the most important thing is that the foam has changed. So the first version of the shoe had that Ego Max midsole, which is a standard EVA compound on the firmer side. It doesn't provide that squish and cushion that a lot of runners are looking for when they go to a max cushion shoe. That's the reason why the Via Olympus 1 kind of failed for the purposes that Altra set it out to achieve. So in the Via Olympus 2, they've softened up that midsole, which is going to be the biggest change that we're seeing from the V1. And they've also introduced some of those new design system elements that they debuted with the forward experience. So some more swooping lines, a bit more of a forward motion aesthetic. And we can see there's a dual color system going on that makes it look like the shoe has a drop because of the way that they've colored the front of the forefoot foam. So the midsole here is going to be Altra's Ego Max foam still, which is the same foam that we saw in the V1. The main difference is that they've completely reworked the compound. So while it still has the same name, Ego Max, it's a completely new foam. In the marketing copy for this, they're saying it's pillow-like, they're calling it luxury. Now, I'm not sure if it does live up to those claims because I haven't gotten it on foot, but it seems like they have responded to a lot of that feedback that the V1 got, which is that it was just way too firm to be a viable max cushion shoe in that really competitive segment. So at 33 millimeters in the heel, it's not going to be as tall as a lot of the other max cushion shoes on the market. So Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, which is one of the firmest max cushion recovery style shoes, is about 39 millimeters in the heel. If you look at shoes like the Nimbus, that's above 40 millimeters in the heel. Even something like the new On Cloud Eclipse, which would be very similar to the Altra here, is 37 millimeters in the heel. So that's the downside of that zero drop platform. You can't go as high in the heel stack as a non-zero drop shoe because the forefoot stack would have to be really high as well, and a 40 millimeter forefoot stack would just be absolutely wild to run on. So this is at 33 millimeters heel and forefoot. Forefoot is pretty similar to a lot of the other max cushion shoes out there. and the midsole does have a little bit of a rocker. Now, some of the controversy around changes Altra has made to their shoes over the last few years are because they're introducing more of these rockers into the front of the shoe. And with a rocker, some of that zero drop DNA does go away a little bit because it puts you on your toes and almost reduces the effect of that zero drop. And it really depends on which point you're measuring the forefoot stack that actually allows you to be zero drop when you have 33 millimeters and a rocker up there. So heading up to the upper, this is an engineered mesh upper. Altra has been known to have some of the most comfortable uppers in the game. That's gonna be no different here on the Via Olympus 2. That was one of the bright spots of the first Via Olympus, and because Altra prioritizes those wider toe box that allow for that natural foot splay, these uppers tend to be pretty generous and accommodate a wide variety of foot shapes. So with this engineered mesh upper, you're gonna have a nice, comfortable, stretchy feel here. It's gonna be nice and breathable, and you shouldn't have any difficulty fitting this on if you have a wider foot. Now, if you are on the other side, a more narrow-footed runner, you might find that these Altra shoes are a bit of a wider last than you'd prefer, but there are tons of other max cushion shoes out there that have a narrower fit. So Altra does now have 3 different foot shapes, so those are different widths of shoes that they have across the lineup. This is gonna be their original foot shape fit, which is the widest one that they have. They also have standard, which is in the middle, and then slim, which is their narrowest and most like what you'd find in a Nike or a Saucony. So again, this one here is going to accommodate the widest variety of foot shapes. It's going to be the widest out of all those Altra fits and should be pretty comfortable for most runners. You might have an issue with the lockdown if you have a super narrow foot, but other than that, this is going to be a great comfortable fitting upper. Heading down to the outsole, there's a pretty solid covering of rubber on both the forefoot and the heel area of the shoe. There are some zones of exposed foam in the midfoot area, but that should not be a problem for durability. If you're looking at the way that the rubber is placed here, it's one of those strategically placed rubber layouts that are so common in shoes these days. It does a pretty good job of protecting most foams. And even if you are a serious heel striker, the way that they put this back patch, where you can see there's this triangle cut out on the end here, it is going to provide a lot of protection for that shoe. So no matter your foot strike, this should be a pretty durable platform, especially with this Ego Max being an EVA based foam. These firmer foams, I know they're saying they've softened it up a little bit, but these firmer foams, these EVA foams tend to get a decent amount of durability. I think you should have no problem getting 350, 400, 500 miles out of this, depending on where you normally take your shoes. So for me, I normally take my shoes to about 300 plus miles. I would anticipate I could get 350 at least out of this shoe with that midsole foam and that outsole rubber. In terms of who this is going to be best for, this is a great option if you like low drop or zero drop shoes and you're looking for a softer max cushion option. If you've tried the Nimbus or the Glycerin, but you just don't get along with shoes with drops higher than 4 millimeters, then I'd say give the Via Olympus 2 a shot. If you like the lower drop of the Shift 3, which has that 4 millimeter drop, but you found it a bit too firm, then again, the Via Olympus 2 is going to be a great shoe for you. I'd say it's most similar to the Shift 3, except a bit softened up. It's also pretty similar to the Ghost Max. So if you're cross shopping with the Brooks Ghost Max and the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, this is gonna be a great one to add into your rotation. For most runners, this is gonna be that workhorse style of shoe that you get a ton of miles out of during the week. Everything from those aerobic base building runs are gonna take up the most of your mileage during the week, all the way down to those recovery efforts and even long runs on Saturdays. These are gonna be a great pair of shoes to support that high mileage bulk of training. All right, guys, so let me know in your comments your thoughts on the new Via Olympus 2. They've done a great job, in my opinion, with the new design aesthetic, also introducing a softer midsole foam. I think it's gonna be a pretty competitive entry into this max cushion segment. As always, thank you for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.